Today in this video we would like to share with you a little bit about the technique of masking. Masking is when you want to put another image behind the image that you stamped, but you don't want the lines of that image showing through, so you have to create a mask to block that out. We're going to do Santa in the Snow. This little Santa has a red suit on that's solid, and I don't want that stamped in black, so I'm going to use my markers on this stamping. I'm going to color the Santa suit, this hat, with my marker red. Then I'm going to use the black to color the rest of it. And you don't have to be that precise with this. It's going to all look good when you stamp it out. Alright, he's in the foreground of my scene, so I'm going to stamp him a little bit closer to the bottom. Good pressure. Alright, there's your Santa in his red suit, and the rest of the image is black, so it's ready for coloring and embellishing on that. Now, to do the masking, I usually take the same stamping that I just did, stamp it out, and I'll be able to get the image repeated. But I've made this in blue so it'll stand out a little bit better and you can see it. I've cut around the image. Do this on text weight paper. If you try to do it on thicker paper, you may wind up with a halo. So this is typing paper, it's text weight paper. Also, if you notice, I've cut away the snow. Those things are not important. When you are making a mask of clue, something you really need to know is either cut on the line or inside the line. You don't want to cut on the outside of the line. I keep talking about a halo. That's a little space between the stamping and the image that is kind of like a white space, a void that you'll have to fill in later if you don't get a good stamping from it. But I'm going to take my mask that I've made. I take a little piece of tape, and I've just done a double roll on it. I dab it on my clothes. No, you can't see that, but I dab it on my clothes, and then I stick it on the back of the mask, and I dab it on my clothes because I don't want it to tear my picture, and that's not real sticky. It's just a little tacky, and it'll hold it in place. I'm going to place my mask on the image as well as I can to get it exactly on it. Okay. Then I'm going to use this tree stamp. This is probably our biggest seller we've ever had. It's got 5 trees on it, and it's just a great stamp. And I'm going to use that in the background. So I'm stamping it and inking it in green. Alright, now that's going to be the background, so I'm going to come up a little bit higher on the page. Stamp it out. It's a big stamp, so put even pressure on it. And there you have your background. Now, I see that I did not put enough pressure on that, so I'm going to take a little bit of a green pencil color and do a little cheating here. You can kind of fill in, and before I take my mask off, I can kind of see where I need to fill in some color. There's usually a patch-up job on most every stamping that you do, so just accept it and fix it and enjoy it. Now I'm going to remove the mask. And you can see that none of the trees came through the snowman or Santa. So that's what a mask does, and that it takes a little bit of skill to play with this and get comfortable with it. But here's one that I did earlier that, oh, you know what? I think I need to add a little bit more to this. Let's do that. I'm going to take my sand snow stamp. I just want you to know about this one because it's a really great stamp to fill in some spaces. So I'm going to stamp this actually in gray. Don't just repeat it, and it makes a little sand mound or a snow mound. That's just a good filler stamp. Some of your stamps become your favorite, and this is one of my favorite stamps because it just kind of finishes off your scenery. Okay, now let's look at the finished one now. This is the card that we made. I put a little glitter in the snow. Then I went back with a little bit of sponging on the top for the sky. I even added just a shade of blue into the snow down there because of the reflection of the sky on the snow. But it's a real fun project, and masking is an awful lot of fun to play with. Let me show you one more simple project that we did that I think you can get a lot of enjoyment out of because it's such a quick image to play with and a lot of fun to do. I'm going to stamp my flower pot this time first because that's in the foreground, and this is what I'm creating. I'll turn that towards you, and then I'm going to stamp my flower next, but to mask that out, I don't want the stem of my flower coming down into the pot. So what you do is just take your mask that you made and cover up the top of the pot, and then I'm going to stamp that. Now you'll learn as you start making masks that you don't actually have to cut out that entire pot, but you do have to make sure the rim is cut out so that you can keep the stem of the flower from the inside of the pot. Now I'm going to stamp directly on the pot so that when you remove it, you have a flower down in the pot. And this is where we colored it with our pencil colors, watercolor pencils, and made a bookmark out of it. Masking is a lot of fun. Play with it and see if it's something that works for you. If you want to put a little bear behind a tree, you stamp your tree first, and then you stamp your bear kind of peeking out from behind. And if you have that tree, a mask on your tree, then you'll just get a really fun look to it. It'll make you look very artsy with your stamping. Thank you for joining us.